You'll see that my recommendation is that the new contract include a salary increase of 3.4%, which would be retroactive to January 1, 2014, and a one-time award of 10 additional days of vacation. And I'm also proposing that we extend his contract till December 31st, 2016. And maybe we can get him to continue on later than that, but we'll have to do a new contract at that time. As background, I want everybody to understand Neil McFarland became our general manager on July 1st, 2010, with a 4-year contract and a base salary of $215,000, which I do need to point out is considerably less than the previous general manager who held this position enjoyed. This contract has been extended a few months while we completed the performance evaluation and brought this forward for your consideration. And I think as the board is well aware, I worked with the Finance and Audit Committee members and then the entire board to complete a performance evaluation of the general manager, which is attached to the resolution you have in your packets. And this evaluation was really based on our collective expectations and priorities. So I think there's a lot of discussion by the board members what we wanted to see the general manager accomplish. And what I will say for the record here, for everybody watching, is the board has observed that Neil has led this agency through one of its most difficult times in history, through this great recession that we had. But I'm again pleased to see that our service is up now above where we were at the beginning of that. Most recently, he and his staff have put this agency on a solid financial footing with the new labor contract, which was just ratified by both the union and this board. Neil has led the latest extension of our MAX system, the Portland-Milwaukee Light Rail project, securing project partners and the federal government for $1.49 billion, which is the total project cost, which is clearly going to improve transit service in that corridor. I want to state also that Neil restarted, and accelerated the new bus purchase program, which we're very excited about, transforming one of the oldest fleets in the nation to an industry standards in just a few years. So again, thank you for that. Neil's also stepped up on preventative maintenance to keep our 52-mile system, MAX system, in good working order, extending its life and also the life of the equipment. And after several years of service cuts, as I mentioned during the group sessions, Neil has made it a priority to add back bus service. That has resulted in increased ridership. And I think really important, he's looking to the future. He's launched service enhancement plans to create, again, the future of the transit system here in this area. And finally, since Neil took the helm, he has made safety a core value of the agency, which is really consistent with one of the board's true priorities, making significant changes, and we heard about those this morning, to ensure the safety of our riders and our employees, and we have a safer system today because of Neil's efforts. In summary, Neil has accomplished much in just 4 years to put this agency on a stable path and has built a solid foundation from which we will meet the growing transit needs of our region. I base my recommendation on the board's compensation philosophy, where we believe that our employees should receive total compensation that's competitive with the market. And Neil's only salary increase as general manager took place on July 1st, 2012, with an increase at that time of 3%. As you know, also in the packets, the board hired a compensation consulting firm, a national firm that does this on a regular basis, Milliman Incorporated, to conduct a market study of the general manager position. As detailed in the resolution cover memo and attached report from Milliman, the consultant found that while our general manager's base salary is notably lower than the market, when total compensation is considered, including retirement benefits, the general manager is just about 3.4% below the market. And so that's where I pegged the number. So again, with Neil performing at this high level, a 3.4% increase to bring him in line with the market is appropriate and I believe clearly justified. For the record, this would increase Mr. McFarland's annual base salary from $221,450 to $229,000. The one-time vacation accrual addition of 10 days of vacation will occur in the first payroll period in 2015 and have a value of $8,807. I do want to quote, when I looked at the newspaper article this morning from the Oregonian, I was surprised to see them talking about the $57,000 of actuarially derived numbers for benefit as part of the compensation. I know that the compensation, the total compensation that we give you, Neil, that's directly attributed to your salary is probably $35,000 to $40,000 less than's reported in the newspaper. I know we've had a discussion with them, but I just think it's unfortunate they don't understand it or want to take the time to understand it. Also, I want everybody to understand this is the look back. This is a review of what Neil has done for a little over the last 2 years, 2.5 years, and I think the board is very pleased with the performance that he's made on his work plan. And the next step after we hopefully take action on this is for me to work with the board to establish what we want to see Neil work on for the next couple of years, so we can gauge his performance at the end of next fiscal year, and then finally at the end of the contract period that we have here. So with that, that's my staff report to you on this item. I'd be glad to answer any questions, and staff is here to help me answer any questions if you would like. Or it's time for the board if you want to make some comments or have other questions. I'll entertain those too at this time. So I'm looking to the board. Yeah.
I will be voting in favor of this measure. I think we've been fortunate to have Neil in charge during a very difficult time. You know, he's epitomized grace under pressure. I think relating to a point our president made about the newspaper article this morning, there were a lot of things in that article that I think gave very inaccurate information, and was very good at listing all the problems that we've encountered over the past few years. What it didn't bother to address at all was all of the corrective measures. And yes, there can be problems, but I think the real issue is how do people step up to deal with those problems and correct procedures and activities so those problems don't occur again. And Neil has been excellent at doing that. And I think he's served this agency well, he served the region well, and so I'm very comfortable voting in favor of this measure.
Good. Director Stovall.
So I, with Director Prosser, will be voting in favor of this resolution, and we've had an opportunity to do a thorough review of a lot of data information that didn't necessarily get shared in regards to all the data information that gets summarized and delivered. But this was a thorough review of the opportunity to take a look at Neil and his performance, and then also the compensation that's required for a person of this role who runs a $500 million corporation and organization, whether or not it's private or public. I mean, there's tons of constraints. I mean, there's tons of responsibilities that go with that. When I think about, what I've seen over the last actually 2.5 years, time flies when you're having fun, is I think first and foremost the strategic financial plan is something that I'm very proud to be a part of this board and to be a part of the outcome that was produced with the strategic financial plan, and the collaboration that existed with the groups and the organizations and the stakeholders that exist in this region as we roll that out and we put that together. It gives us some great guidelines and direction over the next 20 to 30 to 40 years as we move forward. I think about the increased collaboration and transparency that has happened over the last 2.5 years under Neil's leadership. We consistently try to move towards making sure that we're accountable to the folks and stakeholders that we work with. I think about the Secretary of State's audit. I think about all the things that that they said, hey, you've got these challenges, but you're certainly moving towards addressing these challenges. And this is an outside organization that came in and did another thorough audit of what we're up to and the things that we're challenged by. And those were identified well before the Secretary of State came in and pointed them out out even further and verified and validated the concerns that we have, and we're moving forward with. I think about labor relations and the work that we're doing and Neil's leadership is doing there. I think about the financial audit that we just received, I think, was it last month? And the report there, and this is, again, is a third-party outside organization that came and said it's one of the fastest audits we've ever done with a public agency and one of the cleanest that we've ever done for a public agency in that regard. Again, that speaks to the leadership. I think about implementing a very, very large capital project in the Portland-Milwaukee Light Rail. There's lots of things that have gone on with that, and you would think that doing a project of $1.4 billion in and of itself and accomplishing it on time and under budget is something that we'd be proud of. But I just listed a number of other things that have been going on during that same time frame that have needed to be dealt with, and we've been able to move forward. And, so at this point, we talked about those things, but one of the biggest things that we're now taking a look at is reliability of the system and the state of good repair. And that's something that I think Neil and the leadership team is already out in the forefront, and having an opportunity to take a look at that to make sure that not only are we building new components of this system, but we're also saying, okay, one of the most important things to our riders and our stakeholders that they have told us is on-time performance. And on-time performance it weighs heavily on the reliability and state of good repair of our system. That's something we're already getting leadership provided. I'll wrap this up and summarize by saying, some of the challenges I think that we deal with as a board, Neil deals with as the general manager, are somewhat inherited sometimes. And it's not that some of these things didn't get dealt with. It's just some of them, as they begin to grow, we don't know the outcomes. We don't know the eventual place that they're going to get to by the time we get to see them, by the time we get to deal with them. And some of these things are things that are fairly big issues to deal with. And I think that Neil has taken those challenges head on. And that's what really has impressed me as a board member and as a community member and as a stakeholder, is that he's not looking at things and saying, I don't want to deal with that today. We're really taking those key issues and putting them in the forefront and getting them dealt with. Not every time will they be to satisfaction with everybody around the table, but we work on it, we move these things forward, and that's what's really impressed me. And again, the review that we've done was one that was independent. I mean, we had the opportunity to spend time with Milliman in it as a board all by ourselves to ask any of the hard questions we wanted to. And we spent a number of I think I spent about an hour just on the phone individually, having the conversation with their lead person, asking a lot of questions, giving my perspective and my input before we got the final recommendation on the table. So I'm confident the board is weighing in with their own perspective as to where we go with this. And again, I want to thank Neil for his phenomenal leadership, and I want to thank the team for the leadership that they provide.
Please.
Ditto.
You may not have to say it all again.
I would just like to say that the years that I've been on the board, there have been many challenges, and I agree, where maybe we're not always in total agreement, the path has been taken to resolve many of the issues, especially around the transfer time, and I know we're coming back to that next month, but also our labor negotiations, the PMLR and all of the questions with the communities there. I really appreciated that, and it's not always easy. And also, to be able to do a fair market analysis in terms of individuals in like positions, I think was really important and really shows that we were below, and hopefully we'll continue to move that where it needs to be. So thank you.
All right.
Ditto 1, 2, and 3. I have appreciated everything that has been done and what has been accomplished for Trimet during this tenure under Neil. And also, I guess would like to say, if something, and I say this a lot within my own work that I do, and I say this often to people who work with me and for me. If you were not doing anything, nobody would say anything about you. But because you are doing something, people are looking for something to say and to pick at. But if you're just straight out, they don't have any issue with you. And also want to just reinforce again that what the board has done and the steps that were taken has been extensive, yet needed, to guarantee and ensure that we come to a very fair and equitable decision. And in no way, during the time that we have worked on this, I will say this for myself, and I believe it's true for the whole board, did we ever have any discussions with the general manager about what he wanted to have, where he wanted to be, nor did he give us any directions as to you've got to do this or do that or else. It has solely been what this board has looked at and determined is the best course of action for the organization at this time.
I can't top the good doctor. Thanks, Neil. This is a very, to me, very fair compensation, and you've exceeded. I can see. Great job. Thank you.
All right, with that then, do I hear a motion to approve Resolution 1155? I'm hearing that right here. I guess I still have to get it out here. Any further discussion on the resolution? All right, all those in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 14-11-55 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?